April.
Jake, a couple of questions. The same topics, trade, health, food security, and national security, have been the topics of presidents from Bill Clinton to George W. Bush to Barack Obama and now. Why are these same issues still on the table after all of these years? And what has been the arc of success, if you can measure it, from the Clinton years when Africa was put on the table and then George W. Bush being considered the president who did the most for Africa? And then also if you can talk about the lack that happened during the last 4 years, not focusing in on Africa. Are you behind in some areas on Africa?
Well, first, the topics you mentioned are the essential building blocks of healthy societies, healthy economies, healthy countries the world over, not just in Africa, but everywhere. Health, economics, climate, peace and security. These are not topics that get resolved in 4 years or 40 years. They are the topics upon which durable partnerships get built at a government-to-government level, business-to-business, and people-to-people. So it should come as no surprise that the things that matter most to the people in communities across the continent, and frankly, to people in communities across America, are going to be the top agenda items for the summit. And in each of these areas, we feel that we do have a very strong record to stand on as the United States dealing with Africa, whether it's in health and the remarkable advances we've made against HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria, or, as President Biden will talk about, the support that we flowed to Africa during the COVID-19 pandemic and the work we are now doing to help Africa stand up its own capacity to manufacture vaccines and therapeutics going forward. I could walk through each of the other areas, economics and trade, investment, climate, tackling the climate crisis. The president was just at an African COP in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, where he laid out a series of initiatives relating to adaptation in Africa. But I will just say that we didn't set this agenda in a vacuum. We didn't set it for the topics that matter the most to us. We set it in consultation with our African partners on the issues that matter most to them and to our shared future. And I would say that we're never satisfied with the progress we've made because there's always more work to do. More security to help bring about more mitigation of carbon emissions, more adaptation to the ravages of climate change, more lives to be saved through health initiatives. But we feel we do enter the summit with some significant momentum around major investments that we have already made and will continue to make, and with this announcement that over the next 3 years we will be devoting $55 billion to help address these top priorities in very specific, tangible ways in partnership with African nations. So I think by the end of this, what you will see is a genuine energy and a spirit of cooperation that will reflect the fact that the United States has unique assets and capabilities to bring to bear, and we're going to do everything to bring those to bear in this time period.
Follow up though, one, what I asked you, did the United States lose ground with the continent, particularly sub-Saharan Africa, in the past 4 years when Africa was not a focus?
Look, anytime an administration chooses not to put as much energy or emphasis into a place, it obviously has some ramifications. But I have to say that since President Biden has come into office, whether it's through the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, or it's through the work we've done on COVID-19, or it's through the significant announcements that we've made at both of the last two conferences of parties on climate change, we believe that we are not coming into this summit from a standing start. We're coming into this summit with a head of steam around a set of issues that this summit, I think, is going to kick into a higher gear. And that is going to put us in a position, not just for us to succeed over the course of next year or the following year, but really over the course of this decisive decade. And I think you will see a certain buoyancy, a certain momentum, a certain enthusiasm emanating from the course of this summit because this isn't all just emerging out of thin air. It's emerging out of a very much hard work over the course of the past 2 years.